Now, I think that we can all agree here that Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, was by far the most disastrous project over at Lucasfilm, not just because of the box office results, but also, let's not forget about what Kathleen Kennedy implemented into the story, what she cut from the film, and of course, what she overly demanded for funds from Disney that got approved by Bob Iger that just went to waste, that also led to the box office collapse. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's going on with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, I think it's safe to say that Phoebe Waller was definitely a major factor in why Indiana Jones 5 was so unattractive to a large audience, to a lot of fans of the franchise, mind you, because she was at the forefront. She was a very toxic character in nature. And I know that word toxic gets very overused and redundant after a while, but it's true. I mean, she was insufferable. I think that's the more proper word here. Very much an insufferable character in this story, and it was basically Phoebe playing Phoebe. That's really what it was at the end of the day. Now, looking at Indiana Jones 5, what's interesting about everything that has been happening over the course of the past 2 months is the fact that we've had people like Kathleen Kennedy and Phoebe Waller, James Mangold, etc., heavily defending this film day in and day out, and really trying to just upsell this movie, trying to make it seem as if it was better than what it really was, to really get people into the theater seats. However, given that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is still one defending Indy 5, she recently had some very revealing things to say to the fans of Indiana Jones by delivering the following. I do think it was very unfair that this film of ours did not succeed as much as it deserved to. Clearly there was nothing wrong with this story. It was a flawless film and deserved to be a masterpiece as far as status goes. I had the honor to work with James Mangold on the story, and we had both agreed that this ending outperformed the ending for The Last Crusade. It's something that should have been done in that film, by reconnecting Marion and Indy, a big missed point by Lucas and Spielberg back in the day. All the disgruntled people that claimed to be fans are not fans. They were just nothing more than posers that were the main reason why this film didn't meet our box office expectations. Individuals like that just need to take a step back and shut up and keep their negative opinions to themselves and let other people decide on if they want to see a film or not. People cast too much blame on Kathleen Kennedy. She did nothing wrong with the direction of this film. I think too many people are obsessed with having male heroes as the leads and get so defensive when a character like Helena Shaw, a character that Kathy really wanted to make possible, and she did, it was disheartening to see so many angry people get so defensive over scenes where, like, for example, Helena Shaw punches Indy at the end. Now guys, let me just pause here for a second. Now, the thing that she is putting out there is that she is saying that Kathy did nothing wrong with this movie, that this movie's ending outperformed The Last Crusade's ending, which is just ludicrous and crazy to me. But not only that, Phoebe is putting it out there that these so-called fans, quote-unquote, that she calls them posers, the ones that had a problem with the way things ended for Indiana Jones, where basically he gets punched in the face by Helena Shaw, out cold, and dragged back to his apartment, or to a apartment, to pretty much reconcile with Marion at the very end. And she feels that this is something that was supposed to or should have been done in The Last Crusade, and that George and Stephen failed on that end of the spectrum. Honestly, guys, I think the way things ended with The Last Crusade were a masterclass ending. Was a masterpiece at the end of the day, walking into the sunset, or should I say riding into the sunset on the horses. You know, having the four silhouettes just go into the sunset was just awe-inspiring. And as far as I'm concerned, I'll say this right here again, there are only 3 Indiana Jones movies. Now look, say what you will about the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it was a bad movie in my opinion, but at the very least, it did not destroy the character of Indiana Jones. Everything should have just been left off from there, and just let sleeping dogs lie, you know? Don't fix anything further if it doesn't need fixing. You know, obviously they really wanted to make this movie just to make a big cash grab. That's the obvious truth. And it really bit Kathleen Kennedy. It really, you know, caused her to lose more reputation and to lose more of her track record, which she never really had anyway. But moving onwards, alright, she goes on to elaborate further. Do fans not realize that Indy's love interest in the past punched him too in the canon? It's just flat out ridiculous what people get angry over when Helena punches him. I think Indy's sequel should continue by focusing away from Indiana Jones. This way Lucasfilm and those like Kathy won't have to deal with nonsense outrage from posers that are overly demanding for films like this. Sequels, not including Indiana, I think are the future now and the way to go for Lucasfilm. So I am rooting for them continuing this franchise, all well for new fans. Now, this just goes to show you how out of touch with reality Phoebe Waller-Bridge really is. She doesn't know how this franchise works. Alright, so we know that Indiana Jones, the brand in and of itself, is his name. You can't disconnect from that. You can't take away the name Indiana Jones and continue on to make sequels because it would be so unrecognizable, even to people that know about Indiana Jones. You know, what are you going to call it? By a different name with a similar looking logo? It won't work. So this is why I've said this before. Anything that's in development means nothing, alright? Anything that's in development could mean that they're just brainstorming or having discussions and conversations over time, and it eventually just goes nowhere. A great example, and I always bring this up, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been developing a remake of Big Trouble in Little China, which, by the way, I think is a very fun, campy, cheesy movie to watch. It's a great film in my opinion, but they have been developing a sequel / remake, it's considered a sequel, for the past like 5+ years, and it's gone nowhere. That's exactly what I think is going to happen with Indy 5's sequel, that Kathleen Kennedy keeps claiming that they're still developing that, they're still talking about that, and they want to make it happen. Whether it be a show or a movie, they don't know, but Kathy has been on record saying that, yeah, it's something that we're talking about. I think it's going to go nowhere, and obviously if they begin to see how few people tune into this movie on Disney+, that's when you really know that it's time to give it up. It's time to just, you know, throw in the towel and continue on with another adventure. You know, do something new, Lucasfilm. If you really want to do something that great, make a new franchise. Do something original that's going to gravitate toward perhaps the spirit of Star Wars and Indiana Jones combined, if you want to do something like that. Do something unique. That's what I think needs to happen at Lucasfilm. They have to make new franchises. So anyway, I would love to hear everyone's take below in the comments on Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.